Hey everybody, we are back. Elijah and I did our 1 week missions trip up to Alaska. Had an awesome time. We got a few stories to share with you, and we just want to thank you all again for praying for us and helping us financially get there. And so Alaska, Elijah, why don't you start off by telling about the trip to Alaska?
Yeah, so we have to get up pretty early, like 8. Our flight started around 8, and we traveled like the whole day. We got home like late our time, or we got there late at our time, and then we had to travel from Anchorage to Kenai, which is about a 3-hour drive, and we were all out of it by then. And we got home. We finally went to sleep around 4 a.m. our time.
Eastern time,
Eastern
yeah.
time, yeah.
It was a very long day of travel
Yeah.
to get there. But we made it, so no complaints there. And so that was Saturday, and then Sunday was a sightseeing day, a rest, unpack, sightseeing day, meet the long-term missionary, recap on all the mission strategy, stuff like that. And so we went on a 5-mile hike to see the Russian Falls, and that was nice. Good team building skills as well happening on that hike. We got some good pictures of that as well. And then Monday was our first day of the sports camp. So Elijah, why don't you say something about that?
We get chosen to lead an archery program that I guess every year they choose a couple people to help with the archery. The leader of the archery is their own is a different person.
They hire a local in to teach archery. What they said to us is that up there, archery is like a life skill, that a lot of people hunt with bow and arrow. So they wanted to have a local that knows the local rules and laws and to teach the kids up there. So we partnered with a local pro. And how many kids did we have?
Well, the first day we had 8.
Yep. So we had 8. So we had 3 different at the sports camp. We had 3 different sports, right? We had what?
We had basketball, football, and archery.
And archery, yeah. And in total, the camp had just over 50 youth in total. So they said that was a little bit smaller for one of their years, but this was their first year at a new school as they're reaching out to different communities. So they said for a first year at a school, that's about normal, probably about 50-ish kids or so. So we had our 8, or approximately 8 is what we averaged every day for archery. And what kinds of things did we do with them?
Yeah, so we went over the basics, all the safety procedure, how to shoot a bow, all of the different technique, got over how to match a bow to your poundage, your arm span, and all this stuff. We went over like what you can kind of hunt, what you can't, the basic basic types of seasons for animals, and we went on to aiming. Or we went that later in the week.
Sure.
But we did a lot of how to aim, how to adjust, and we played a bunch of different games with them, with like hitting balloons and trying to hit certain rings on the target.
Yep. Yeah, and what was cool, one of the great strategies they had with this one, it was a lead through relationship strategy, right? So part of what we were doing was just building, good, strong relationships with the youth, and then we would have 2 Bible studies, one in the first half, and so it was like a sports thing, right? So there was a halftime where everyone would go into a giant gym and we'd sing songs and hear some testimonies. But when we were out with our group, we'd have a couple of Bible lessons, one in 2 parts of the day. And Elijah got to teach some of those, and I got to teach some of those as well. And then our leader taught some of that as well. So that was kind of what our sports camp looked like every day. And we would end up playing some fun games with archery as well. Can you tell them kind of what those games were like?
Well, we had a pop the balloon game. I kind of already mentioned it earlier, but it was we had 3 balloons on a target. And the goal was with 3 arrows, 3 to 5 arrows, depending on the round. You try and hit all the balloons.
Yep.
And then we get points based on balloons you hit. And then we did another called Bake the Cake, and it was an archery target.
This was a much harder game.
Yes, it went from white to black to blue, red, yellow, and to bake the cake you had to get the yellow, red, blue, and white. But if you hit the black, you were out.
So 1 arrow in each color,
Yes.
and that represented the different ingredients of the cake. And so that was pretty cool. That was a tougher game for
Yeah.
sure, but the kids just loved playing the games and just the strategy and how hard it was. So we really did get to know them really well and befriend them. And then on the fourth and final day of the sports camp, during the halftime, we did like an altar call kind of thing. And how many kids responded to pray the prayer of salvation?
I believe it was 16.
Yeah, so like 16 out of 50 kids stood up and went forward and prayed the prayer, and we had some people there to talk through with them, all kinds of things, and that was pretty awesome. It was like that's about 30%. That's a very high number, but it was very satisfying to see those many kids wanting to start a relationship with Jesus and kind of this is what this group is all about, right? They're helping to knock on doors and open doors to get the gospel message out there. So super satisfying there. And then we had some other highlights too. Elijah got to go swimming in a lake.
Yes. So Alaskan rivers and lakes, they're about 40 degrees this time of year. So we were doing polar plunges throughout the week and all, just diving into the freezing cold water. It was awesome.
I didn't do it, but but Elijah had a great time.
The car ride
with that
homes
kind
are
of thing.
wonderful.
Yep. Yeah, definitely some hiking here and there. We saw moose, we saw black bear, we saw bald eagle. On the final day, the Friday, as we were driving back to Anchorage to fly out, they had booked us a 4-hour cruise to go out and see some wildlife. And on that cruise, we got to see a humpback whale, which was pretty awesome. The whole boat was going crazy. So we got to see some awesome things. We got to minister to a lot of kids, and I think overall it was just a really awesome week.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any other highlights you want to share?
Oh, well, we also did mission projects.
Yep.
With
Service projects.
service projects.
Yeah.
We did a lot of upkeep and helping out with work with the mission headquarters that we were staying at, and we like stained the entire deck for them, kind of a patio type thing.
Yep.
We helped reorganize. We reorganized the storage containers.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That was a full 2-day job.
Yeah, for sure.
Or 2-day mornings. The mornings we would do these service projects, and the afternoon we do the sports camp.
Yeah.
And then we also did some other stuff. I believe we redid all the door handles for the cabinets.
Yep. A lot of maintenance as we're supporting the full-time missionary there in Alaska. A lot of times the service projects are actually in the community, but I guess this year they either didn't have many lined up, but there was plenty to do around the base camp there that needed to be done, and so it was good to support that too. So. Yeah, overall, just a great week, a great first missions trip for Elijah. I think it was great. Everyone spoke English. There was no risk of being arrested for spreading the gospel. We didn't have to have a passport. We were still on U.S. territory. All that kind of led to sort of a little bit of a sort of easier, I guess, first missions trip. And and I'm just really proud of Elijah for all the hard work he did and really engaging the youth there and everything, and we had a lot of answered prayers. We gave you guys the prayer list before we went, and so a lot of those things came true. The travel overall did not have anything too crazy.
Yeah.
There were some little things here and there that might have gotten us, but it ended up being fine.
Yeah, we made our flight to Anchorage by 4 minutes.
Yeah. Pretty close.
We ran to the terminal. It was awesome.
Yep. All the different people in the groups, we all got along really well. There's no conflict or anything like that. There was just a real synergy about everyone, and a real united vision and unity amongst the group, which was just beautiful. And it was just a great week.
Yeah.
So. Thank you again, everybody, for supporting us both in prayer and with finances. And what an amazing time for us. So, yeah. All right. Thank you.